talk about politics in the video game industry. Something that's a pretty big issue in the industry, especially with Gamergate and all these other things that have been going on over the past few years. Increased politicalization of the video game industry, trying to make the video game industry more and more and more political, which is very concerning because so many other industries have become so much more politicized than they have been before, like Hollywood, the film industry. Look at that. Look at the film industry, how much they've suffered from being so politically influenced. Name any actor, and I could tell you probably 90% of them are left-wing or liberal. Like, Hollywood is pretty much a left-wing institution. So, after they conquered Hollywood, now they're looking to take over the gaming industry in a way. And it's pretty concerning. But when people respond to this and say, we need to keep politics completely out of gaming, that's not a reasonable thing to request, because you can't do that. It makes you can't keep politics completely separate from video games, but at the same time, you can't politicize the video game industry so much that the industry suffers, if that makes any sense. So let me clarify. So to keep politics out of video games means that you are disassociating the industry. You're disassociating the story in the games from reality. And there's so many games that try to imitate reality or have real-life aspects to them that if you just completely take out politics, then you're going to suffer. The games aren't going to be as good, the writing's not going to be good, and there's going to be a problem. So I think that to say that we need to keep politics out of gaming completely is a completely absurd thing to request, because you can't do it. You can't do it. Even if it was possible, the industry would suffer so much low quality games, so much bad writing, because where are they supposed to get their influence from if they don't have at least some influence from real life, if you know what I'm trying to say. So games like Call of Duty and Battlefield, of course they have political aspects to them because they are about war, and war is always political. But let's talk about games like Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto is pretty much a social commentary. They pretty much make fun of the worst aspects of society and try to imitate them in their game. That obviously has some political elements to it. Remember all those feminist reviewers that complained about GTA 5 being misogynistic? That's what I'm talking about video games, about the video game industry being too politicized, that you have so many critics attacking certain games, and people who play those games attack them politically, call them misogynists, call them whatever the hell you want for not buying games that have female protagonists, or not buying games that support their narrative, I guess you could say, that support social justice. Because, I mean, the way it was years ago is that it was mainly conservatives that were attacking the video game industry, saying that, oh, video games make children kill people. Remember, you know what I'm talking about. Oh, video games are so violent, they encourage kids to kill people. Just absurd shit from right-wing extremists that say that video games are terrible and they're created by Satan. All this crazy bullshit that they said back in the day. What was this, 8 or 9 years ago, this was really going on with the religious fanatics attacking the game industry. Then that died down, and then now you have the social justice warriors attacking the video game industry. Oh, there are not enough female protagonists in games. The gamers are sexist. The gaming industry is sexist, although, let's take a look at that. That's absolutely absurd. Because if the video game industry was truly sexist, if gamers were truly sexist, then Rise of the Tomb Raider wouldn't have sold as well as it did. Horizon Zero Dawn wouldn't have sold as well as it did. So many games with female protagonists wouldn't have sold as well as they did. There's so many games with female protagonists that sell very well. So the whole narrative that, oh, gamers in the gaming industry absolutely hate women, when there's so many games that have female protagonists. Just because it's not 50-50 with female protagonists and male protagonists in the games, that means there's not equality. Just because there are more entries that have male protagonists than female protagonists. It's absolutely fucking absurd what these people are saying. So they're definitely ruining, or at least attempting to ruin, the game industry, and to an extent they're succeeding. Look at all the controversies that have been going on lately in the industry. Call of Duty World War II is pandering to these social justice warriors with, okay, removing the swastika, which I understand it's partly for legal reasons, but at the same time, they have black female Nazis in the German army and females in World War II. So to say, oh no, they're not pandering to social justice, they're just trying to adhere to these European laws. Except they are pandering to social justice in that way because Europe itself is pandering to social justice with their anti-swastika laws and all this other bullshit. You know what they did in Call of Duty World at War 9 years ago? They made two separate versions. They had one version with the swastika and one version without. Just because Europe has some fucking stupid laws doesn't mean that I have to suffer, and my art has to suffer. You know what I mean? So it's just absurd that they're doing this shit with World War II. I quit Call of Duty as soon as Infinite Warfare came out. I'm like, I've tolerated so much bullshit, but now I'm not going to do it. I refuse to support this game series anymore. It's just gone so downhill ever since Black Ops 1. It's just gone on such a downward spiral. It's really sad, but it's what happened. So I vow that I'm never going to play a Call of Duty game again. But now I know for sure I'm definitely not going to play this fucking game because it's trying way too hard to pander to social justice warriors when social justice warriors are never the ones that actually play video games, if you think about it. You really think that they're the ones who are pouring the most money into the gaming industry and they're the ones that are playing the most games? They're not. So to pander to a minority of gamers is a terrible business move. They think they're being smart business-wise. Oh, we're going to pander to the social justice warriors. Social justice is such a hot thing right now. Let's hop aboard that train, because that's what these corporations are doing. You think these corporations are extremely left-wing, extremely liberal because they actually believe in these bullshit politics? They don't. They only do it because they think it's profitable for them, because, so many millennials today most millennials are liberal. I, of course, am one of the few exceptions to that. Now, I know I have a separate political channel where I talk politics, and some people might not like that I'm talking politics in this channel, but it's necessary because this is about the gaming industry. This is about one of my favorite hobbies, gaming. So when there are people out there that are trying so hard to ruin the industry, then yeah, I'm going to talk about it on my gaming channel. Of course I am. So they're doing that, and then Battlefield 1 had a black soldier on the cover, even though there were only 100 soldiers in the entire conflict. You know what I'm trying to say? They're trying so hard. You could tell. You can't even deny it. They're trying so hard to pander to these people. Now, I'm not saying Battlefield 1's a bad game, but when you have, Muslims fighting for the British, and you have people fighting for different, each army is incredibly diverse, it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. And it makes even less sense that you have black female fucking Nazis fighting in Call of Duty World War II. And it's not even, okay, even if that was it, right? You have black female Nazis, there's no swastika, then I'd just be like, okay, that's a bummer. But they advertise the fucking game as historically accurate. What does that tell you? These people are trying so hard to rewrite history. They're trying so hard to do that. And it's really troubling. It's really troubling. So, to say that we need to keep politics out of gaming, that's not what we need to say. We need to say that we need to stop politicizing video games. You have so many of these political commentators, all these stupid fucking websites like BuzzFeed, Salon, those fucking cancerous websites that are going after the gaming industry and going after video games. It's just it's crazy that the developers are actually pandering to them. And we're suffering as a result of it. And what's going on in the gaming community is a whole different story, because the gaming community is political in its own way because we have PlayStation fanboys, Xbox fanboys, PC fanboys, other fanboys. It's kind of like it's exactly mirroring the politics in real life, the politics in the community. Now, I know I was just talking about the politics of the industry, but this is a whole different issue. The politics of the gaming community. That's a whole nother issue, but it's still just as troubling as the industry's problems with politics. So with the community, you have, like I said, you have the different fanboys of different platforms, and they're pretty much mirroring the political parties in real life. You know, you got the Democrats and the Republicans that are attacking each other, calling each other names, and that's exactly what's going on with the Xbox and PlayStation people. They're forming their own political parties, except instead of it being for actual real-life issues, you know, their platform being based on real-life issues with, you know, Democrats wanting free health care and climate justice, and Republicans wanting Second Amendment rights and religious bullshit. These people instead are focusing their efforts on defending a video game company and a piece of plastic. That's what they're focusing on. And I honestly think that's even worse than what goes on in the political world, the real-life political world, than the politics that goes on in the gaming community. Because it's fucking video games. It's supposed to be fun. Like, people do not understand this. I mean, I guess these guys get, you know, people like JTech get a fucking huge fucking hard-on defending Sony. But what do they really get out of that? I don't get it. I don't get why they divert so much time of their lives focused on defending a certain video game company. I did it because it was fucking funny. Because I pissed people off and I got a fucking rise out of that. But these people are not joking. These people who are serious. These people are serious. You have so much. It's just, man, politics is definitely having a negative impact on the gaming industry, no doubt. Although this isn't really related to real life politics. Although, well, in the gaming community, there's so many gamers, there's so many YouTubers that try to bring real life politics into gaming. Who can I think of as an example? So we have Hard 8 Times, who's pretty much the Reverend Al Sharpton of the gaming community, who pretty much calls everyone who he doesn't agree with a fucking racist. He called the 1316 killer a racist. He called all these different people a racist. And I remember years ago he said that the reason why he's not a big YouTuber is because he's black. Like, give me a fucking break, Hard 8. All these different people are trying to bring real-life politics into the gaming industry and into the gaming community when it's not even related to it at all. Like, okay, if there's certain political elements to a video game, then yeah, of course you should have a political discussion, have a political debate, like with Skyrim. You know, the Imperials versus the Stormcloaks, you know, the Stormcloaks being a more nationalistic faction, and the Imperials being a more multicultural faction, you know, unity of all the countries, you know what I'm talking about? So when you're debating those kind of things, different factions in video games, of course, having political discussions is fine, but there are certain people in this community that bring politics when there's no point in bringing in politics. It just makes no sense. They're bringing it out of nowhere. And I can name so many more people that do that. So many more people in the community. They like to bring up politics when it's completely unrelated to the topic at hand. They're just calling people racist and whatever, and sexist, whatever the hell you want to say, when it's not even related. I don't know. It's honestly incredible what's happened to this industry. It's becoming so politicized. It's really sad, honestly. Remember back in the day when people didn't care about political elements of video games and didn't care about, well, people always cared about their piece of plastic. That's been going on since probably Genesis versus Super Nintendo. But now it's just gone so extreme that we're going to call people who disagree with us sexist, people who play certain games that we don't like sexist and racist and all this other shit. Games that have slavery in it are racist somehow. Games that are historically accurate are sexist and racist. Like, give me a break. Or if a game has an offensive joke in it, oh my god. I don't know what to say. It's very troubling what's been going on lately. So many games, so many game companies are actually pandering to these fucking idiots. And then you have the people in the community that are fighting over their boxes, over their video game platforms, and their games, and their exclusive games, and which company is better. It's even worse than the people debating on CNN and all these political networks. Except at least these people who are debating on CNN, although they're fucking stupid, at least they're debating over something. What are you debating over? Oh, PlayStation is better than Xbox. Okay. So, and? Even if that was true. And? What does that accomplish? What does that accomplish to you that you're somehow able to, even if you were right, even if everything you were saying, all the lies you were saying, all the misinformation you were spreading was somehow true, what do you accomplish in the end by proving that a certain game machine is better than another? Because if you honestly dedicate so much time of your life to that shit, like JTech does, like all these PlayStation Legion people do, like all these other fanboys do, you need to reevaluate your life. You definitely need to reevaluate your life. If you dedicate so much time of your life to defending one company, it's incredible. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about what I've said about politics in the gaming industry and the gaming community. Let me know what you guys think. I thought it would be an interesting thing to talk about. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you guys later.